So dedication, the technical term for it is karma yoga, the path of action. The foundation of this is to shift your attention, shift your mindset from taking to giving, from grabbing to adding value to others, from exploiting to being of service. And mind you, this is in the mind. Now, when will you think of giving? Take us. All of us feel deficient. Right? Every morning you wake up and you go out to work. What is driving you to work? I don't have enough money, I must earn more. I don't have enough power, I must gain more. Right? So it is, you are all in deficiency mode. And you feel the world needs to serve me. How will you do it? Right? Also, the fundamental thing behind Karma Yoga is to understand the abundance that you have been blessed with. I don't know most of you, but one of us is blessed with abundance. It's a mindset. When the mind operates, we looked at the mind and intellect yesterday. When the mind operates, it zeroes in on one or two things that you don't have and makes you miserable over it. As a result, you're not looking at the millions of things that you have and you enjoy. So it becomes irrelevant. What you have becomes irrelevant. And those one or two things, the moment you get, your mind shifts to something else you don't have. There will always be something you don't have, isn't it? What a terrible life to live. Instead, right this moment, shift your attention to all that you have been gifted with, the abundance that you have received in life. Now the problem is we give value only to the things we have paid for. What about the things we've received for free and in abundance? Like the oxygen you breathe. From the day you were born, you have been taking in oxygen, life-giving oxygen, and throwing out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Have you paid for the oxygen? Do you even know that you have been breathing so much oxygen? And effortlessly your respiratory system goes through this complex set of reactions to enable this. You're blissfully unaware of it and say, I don't have this. Your circulatory system, your heart beats constantly, perfectly, right through your life. No breakdowns, no maintenance, nothing, if you don't do anything stupid. Don't you? It's like this. After COVID started, there was an Italian man, 91-year-old man, who had to be put in ice on the ventilator for 2 days. And luckily he survived. When he was being discharged, he was given the bill. He looked at the bill, 2 days ICU and 2 days of oxygen, being on the ventilator, and he started crying. So the doctor thought that he didn't have enough money to pay. He said, don't worry, don't cry, we'll see what we can do. He said, no, it's not that. I have enough money and I'll pay the bill. But why I'm crying is, for 2 days of oxygen that I got in hospital, this is the bill. What about the oxygen I've been breathing in for 91 years of my life? I owe somebody this. Just because you received it for free and you received it in abundance, you have no value for it. I would strongly suggest you go home today and tomorrow morning when you're fresh, sit down with a piece of paper and write down all the things that you have. We all have wonderful families. we are born in this wonderful country. It's called Punya Bhumi, meaning you must have done a lot of punya to be born in India. And after being born in India, where do you want? What do you want? Go to America. Go here, there, everywhere. At least you must understand the value of what you have. So, and the law is, give, you gain. Grab, you lose. Try it out in your life. And you don't have to give anything. What can you give? We are all in a hopeless state of bankruptcy with reference to the divine. What can you give? But cultivate the attitude of giving. That's all that he wants. Not that he wants. That's all that you should cultivate within. When we talk about giving, we say, oh, I don't have time to join an NGO. You don't have to join an NGO. You have to become an NGO. Every experience, every moment of your life, you must be, see, when you are aware of the abundance that you have been gifted with, you develop this irresistible urge to give, to contribute, to serve, to add value to people. Just that thought is enough, and you will be blessed. In our scriptures, we have the story of Sudama. He was a pauper from start to finish. And he and Krishna were great friends. So his wife one day tells him, you say Krishna is a great friend of yours and we are living in poverty, go ask him for some help. And he is living as a king. Sudama agrees not because he wants anything, but because he realizes his wife has reached the limit of her tolerance. So as he leaves, he's at the door. He comes back and tells his wife, I'm meeting my dear friend after so many years. How can I go empty-handed? What a thought. What a thought. Let's say somehow or the other you manage to get an appointment with the Prime Minister because you want to ask for something, not for yourself, for your community, for Bangalore city, whatever. And as you are about to leave, you think, what can I give you? What a thought. Wife has nothing, so they borrow a handful of poha. You know what poha is? Beaten rice. What do you call it in Kannada? Okay, so you all know. And he very joyously takes it to offer it to him. When he goes there, he sees the grandeur, the royalty, the sheer opulence in which Krishna is living. He's very hesitant to give it. But Krishna asks him, Sudama, haven't you brought anything for me? And then very sheepishly he gives it to him. And Krishna enjoys it thoroughly. Now, giving. And he leaves without asking for help. Can you believe it? Not that he is forgetful, not that he has dementia. He just can't think of asking or taking. His entire personality is that of giving. He forgets to ask and he leaves. When he goes home, he sees his humble hut has been converted into a magnificent mansion. His wife, children are all wearing luxurious clothes. He understands they are well taken care of. His obligation is over. He proceeds to realization. In the Ramayana, when Shabari, this poor tribal woman, comes to know that Lord Rama is going to pass by. She's so excited. Finally, I'm going to get darshan of the Lord. And she wants to give. So she has nothing to give. She looks up at the trees and sees wild berries there. She plucks them and wants to give. Then she thinks, what if they're not sweet? How can I give something that is not sweet to the Lord. So she does something that is traditionally unacceptable in the Indian culture. That is, she tastes every berry before offering it. And the beauty of it is, Lord Rama accepts this devout offering and she reaches realization. So friends, don't go around tasting berries and giving to people. Don't go giving beaten rice. In the Bhagavad Gita, I say, what can you give? Pushpam phalam toyam. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Give a leaf. Give a flower. Fruit. If you don't have anything to give a few drops of water. Now don't take this literally. It is not about what you're giving. It is that you're giving your entire heart and soul. And that's the trick in Karma Yoga. Whatever you do, you must do it with your heart and soul. Not half-heartedly. Not with your mind on other things. You know? Like we come here to Bengaluru, I shouldn't be thinking of what to shop. Let me go to UB City Mall. Let me go here, there, everywhere. I must be focused on the purpose for which I'm coming here. And do it with my heart and soul. See, take a child. Whatever the child does is imperfect, isn't it? The child can't even put food in its mouth. It goes all over the food except in the mouth. But it's so endearing. Why? Because of the purity of the child. When a child, say 6-year-old, 7-year-old, he gets excited about the father's birthday and goes to the father and says, Papa, give me 500 rupees. So the Papa is busy with his office things. So he says, why do you want it? Because the teacher said to bring it for something. So he gives without working things out. The child goes with the maid to the shop and buys something that is completely useless for the father and gift wraps it himself, so it's not properly wrapped, imperfectly wrapped. And on the father's birthday, early morning, wakes up, goes, shakes him up, wakes him and says, Happy birthday, Papa. The father is so touched. So it's not, see what he's giving is not the item that he's bought. It's not the gift wrapping. What the child is giving is his heart. And that is what moves the father. So you want to have an effect. Whether it's sending an email to somebody or a WhatsApp message or doing something else. Whatever you do, if you do it with your heart and soul, it will have a tremendous impact. And you'll be successful. This is Karma Yoga. And that you will gain is a given, it's a law. Take the example of color. White light consists of 7 colors. When white light falls on a blue object, many of you are wearing blue, what happens? The object absorbs all other colors except blue. Blue is the only color it reflects. So when you look at it, you know that blue is the only color it doesn't have. Yet you say, it is blue. Have you ever wondered, the other 6 colors that it grabs, it loses. The one color it gives, it gains. And so is it in life. This is true even in business life. You've heard of CVS, the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Pharmacy chain in the United States, they have something like more than 80 stores all over the United States. In 2014, they took a momentous decision. The board took a decision that our aim is to improve the health of our customers. And then they suddenly realized that they were selling cigarettes and tobacco products. Now this doesn't improve the health of their customers. So in 2014, the board took a momentous decision to take all tobacco products off their shelves, which meant a loss of $2 billion, billion, not million, in revenue. Wall Street frowned upon it. Their shareholders were not happy because the sales fell, profits fell, their dividend fell, everything happened. But they continued. And guess what? Very soon, the stock price, share price went up, their revenue increased, their customers increased, because everyone realized that here was a company that was truly dedicated to the customer. I can go on and on with the examples. There are inspiring examples. And that is why we request you to join our community, because then you keep receiving inspiring anecdotes, stories, things which you may or may not know. You may have heard it before, but it may not have struck you. So, the whole of the universe seems to function in a spirit of yajna, sacrifice, in a spirit of giving, says the 3rd chapter of the Gita. And it says, if you don't follow this principle, God help you, you will get destroyed. Na siddhim, you will not be successful. Na sukham, you cannot be happy. Na paramgatim, and spiritual evolution is a far cry. So take a look at nature. The sun shines every morning, and we all partake of the energy of the sun, sunlight, right? Have you heard of anyone getting a bill directly from the sun? We are shameless enough to extract solar energy and bill our customers. The peacock dances, the bird sings, clouds give rain, rivers give life-giving water. No element in nature works with a selfish purpose except the human being, and therefore no element suffers from depression or sorrow except the human being. So the next time you feel sorrowful or down in the dumps, don't blame your spouse, don't blame the government, don't blame the municipal corporation. Just understand, I am feeling miserable because of my selfishness. It's true. You change your attitude, become a little less selfish, and you're full of beans. You're happy. You wake up with a smile on your face. So all you have to do is shift your attitude from entitlement to indebtedness, from profiteering to offering. So, there are conferences going on all over the place. So there was an international conference at which there were people from all over the world. So during the coffee break once, 3 guys got together and they started discussing how much of their profits they give to charity. So the Americans like bragging. So he said, oh, I am very charitable. I draw a circle on the ground, I take all my profits, throw them into the air. Whatever falls within the circle is mine, what falls outside I give to charity. The Russian said something similar, except that he says I draw a triangle. What falls within it is mine, what falls outside goes to charity. The Indian was scratching his head because he hadn't done charity. But Indians are quick thinkers. And he didn't want to be left out of the game, so he said, hey, you guys, you're small-minded. So they said, what do you mean? Don't you know that everything belongs to God? So they said, so what do? I give everything to God. Then they asked him, but how do you live, man? He says, you don't understand, it's very simple. I take all my profits, white, black, all colors, together, and throw them into the air. Whatever God wants, He keeps. What falls down is mine. But it's true. Instill this attitude of giving, and the forces of nature will give to you. Listen to this. What true karma yoga is. So, what must we do? Dana, mana, dhana, sab artha. And the more you give, the more you get. So, Karma Yoga means first identify your dharma, your talent, the gift that you have been bestowed with, and in that field fix up our ideal. And then surrender to that ideal. You must love what you're doing. You must worship what you're doing. And work dedicatedly, wholeheartedly, but detachedly. Now Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, devotion, is blending, harmonizing, aligning, becoming one. It's like in an orchestra, Western orchestra with hundreds of musicians, but they are all aligned to the conductor. They just follow the conductor. And then there is symphony. But if each musician says, no, I want to be heard, and I will play what I want, then what is that? The coffin, noise. This is something that we as Indians must learn. You know what happens? One Indian by himself excels. You put two Indians together, they will want to pull down each other. We have to learn this art of aligning, harmonizing. And this is bhakti. So bhakti is not loving God. It is loving the beings that God created. How can you love an entity that you don't even know you can't identify? And you hate people that you are interacting with on a daily basis? How does that happen? There's a lady who went to a guru and said, Swamiji, I really want to improve spiritually. You give me one simple exercise to do. So Swamiji told her, go home and hug your mother-in-law. Huh? She said, Swamiji, what are you telling me to do? That is impossible. I can hug anybody in the world but my mother-in-law. So Swamiji said, tough luck, man. You want to evolve spiritually, you have to do this. So, it is about inclusive love, not exclusive attachment to one or two people. It is about removal of hatred from your heart. In the 12th chapter of the Gita, when he gives 35 qualities of a bhakta, the very first quality is, anyone knows? Excellent. Adveshta Sarva Bhutana, one who hates no being, not no human being, no living being. Tough call, right? So, if you swear love to God and you hate other people, God doesn't love you. There's a simple poem in English, taught to school children, which all of us must learn, or at least learn the principle behind it. And it goes like this. Abu Ben Adam, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room an angel writing in a book of gold. What writest thou? Says he. The angel says, the names of those who love the Lord. Names of those who love God. And all our names were on it. We love God, right? Abu Ben Adam says, is mine one? The angel looks at the list and says, nay, not so. Then Abu cheerfully stood. He didn't feel dejected. He says, write me as one who loves his fellow beings. The angel vanished. And the next night he appeared in a great awakening light, showing the names of those whom love of God had blessed. You understand? First list, those who love God. Second list, those whom God loves. So what is the point of unrequited love? And lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest. So you want to practice bhakti, you must first remove hatred. So the way to begin is go home today, pick on the person you dislike the most. You absolutely can't stand the person. Usually it is either mother-in-law or daughter-in-law. Or boss maybe, anybody. And see how you can change that. Ask yourself, why do I hate this person? Because you believe the person has certain qualities. Yeah, but that may be his upbringing. You have the luxury of a good upbringing, that person may not have had. If you are his upbringing, you would probably be as bad. You know? Separate the qualities from the person. Like again, the third chapter says, Guna gudeshu vartante iti matvana sajjate. Gunas function. Whatever qualities you have, they function. An angry person has angry vasana, nature. A thief has those qualities. But deep down, we are all human beings. We all have the same aspirations. We all want to be loved. We want the same things in life. So, convert that hatred to understanding, acceptance, and then you feel so triumphant. Do that with one person, your spiritual level will go up quite a few notches. But that must be detachment and not attachment. So another way of practicing devotion is to remove the expectations that you have from your loved ones, to remove the demands that you make on them, and to just love them for what they are. That's called unconditional love. This doesn't mean to become a doormat. Many people think, oh, then whatever the husband does, I will tolerate. Whatever my children do, I will tolerate. No, it's not that. You must use your intellect and in that relationship in such a way that the person does not take you for granted. Put your foot down nice and hard when you need to. But love must be there, and it must be unconditional. Then comes Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is not mastery of the scriptures. It's not knowing the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads backwards and forwards. It's just reciting it. Or even knowing the meaning but not living it. Jnana Yoga is assertion of reality and negation of the unreal. It means you understand that the world and all that it has to offer is unreal. It's passing, it's ephemeral, it's not worth your attention. It's like Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's guru. As a child, his brother sent him to school. So after a few days, he comes back home and says, what are they teaching me in school? They're teaching me about the world. I don't want to know the world, I want to know God. So he dropped out of school. So he didn't learn anything, he didn't learn the scripture. But at the tender age of 29, he reached God. And he then taught Swami Vivekananda the Upanishads, the Gita, everything. And today there is not a place in the world that doesn't have the Ramakrishna mission. So, listen to this. indicating that I am not the mind, the intellect, the body, the five elements. I am none of these. Then what am I? Shivoham, Shivoham. I am that which is permanent. So, how do you practice Jnana Yoga? You have to constantly discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent. Anything that is impermanent is not worth your attention. If it were, it's like there's a man whose car burned completely. And he went home and threw a party. He said, the car, that which had to go, has gone. So I am celebrating. You lose money, you say, money comes and goes. It came, I enjoyed, it's gone, fine. You don't get a heart attack because of that. So as you discriminate and as you get established in the permanent, all the changes in the impermanent don't affect you. It is knowledge of yourself. You must know what's happening within you. What are your desires like? What is your nature like? What is your intellect like? Do you have a fat ego? And how do you manage all of these? How do you improve yourself? See, we want to improve everything around us except ourselves. Therefore, look within. And in order to help us to look within, we need help. We need to study. And therefore, we have the Bhagavad Gita. We are fortunate to have the Bhagavad Gita. Other cultures don't have. There are people with spiritual mindsets in other countries they don't have. Fortunately, we have. And we have easy access to it. Learn the laws of life. See, Vedanta is not a religion. It is not Hindu. It is not Indian in that sense. It is a collection of laws that pertain to the human mind. Just as the law of gravity. You can't say, I will not respect the law of gravity because the British have discovered it. The law of gravity will function whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not. Right? So you might as well know how it functions and abide by it. Similarly, there are laws pertaining to the human mind, and the overarching law is the law of karma. You cannot escape it. So when bad things happen to you, you must just understand that the person is only a nimitta. You understand what nimitta is? An excuse for the law to function. I needn't hate the person or deal with that person. I need to look within and say, what have I done wrong? Or it's not what you've done in the past. It is your present attitude that you need to correct. And you correct that, and your entire future changes. So, therefore, we have the entire Bhagavad Gita on pen drives. If you're interested, you can tell yourself to it. And then, knowledge is not just about learning. It is Shruti, where you fall back on the experience of past sages. Very important, next stage is Yukti, which is your own reflection, your own understanding, your own experience with it. And then it becomes an inseparable part of you. Just as when you eat food, just the consumption of food doesn't make you strong. That food has to be digested, broken down into smaller particles, absorbed into your system, and transported to every part of your body. Then you become stronger. The result of all of these is, like we said earlier, enormous success, immense happiness, and spiritual growth. You move from being a bonsai, a stunted individual, to your original nature, which is a magnificent personality. Difference between a bonsai and the oak tree. So now we continue with the second chapter, verses 62 and 63.
Jaya Row Vishayan Punsah Sangasteshu Pajayate Sanga Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha Sammohat Sruti Vibhramaha Sruti-Dhramshat Buddhinashah Buddhinashat Pranashyati.
Verse 62. See, just to recap, verse 60 says, the senses powerfully drag away the mind of even a constantly striving wise person. Now, the rational thing would be, the next verse should say, the mind takes the intellect away. But he goes off at a tangent, and verses 61 to 66, he explains the importance of the intellect. So here, 62 and 63, he's talking about the stairway to destruction. How do we destroy ourselves? First, it starts with just a thought, one thought. So he says, pondering over objects, one gets attached to them. Attachment breeds desire. From desire, anger is born. In 63, he continues, anger leads to delusion. And from delusion, memory gets clouded. From clouding of memory, the intellect gets destroyed. And when the intellect gets destroyed, one is ruined. So, what he's talking about is, you go through life's experiences, suddenly a thought comes to you. Why not? You know, I'll give an example. I travel across the world talking about the Bhagavad Gita. So, a few years back, when I went to San Francisco, my host had a brand new, top of the line Tesla car. It was a 7-seater, futuristic car where the door went upward, not sideways. Beauty of a car. She had just bought it, and I was staying with her, so for 4 days we were going up and down everywhere for lectures in her car. Now, the thought can come to my mind, beautiful car. Why not I buy one for myself? Huh? That's not a criminal thought. Anybody can get that thought. But immediately the intellect should step in and say, number one, have you come here to buy cars or have you come here to speak on the Gita? Second question, can you afford the car? No. Straight away it should go. Third question, I'm from Mumbai. Do you have place to park the car? Of course not. So the thought gets deleted. Fine. But if you're not aware of what's happening within you, and most of us are not aware, so you entertain the thought and keep repeating, nice car, nice car, nice car. What happens? You get attached to the idea of having the car. A thin stream of thoughts going from you to a particular object or being is called attachment. You further invest in it, it becomes a strong desire to acquire and enjoy it. Then you've had it. Then I come back and customs says you cannot import it. Then I get angry. Anger leads to delusion. I go to these officers and speak all kinds of things, get angry with them. And as you go on, it gets worse and worse. Anger leads to delusion. You forget who you are, you forget who you're talking to. You forget about the fact that you cannot pursue this. It leads to loss of memory. And when you lose your memory, see, the intellect is what it is because of memory. When you lose your memory, intellect is gone. And when the intellect is gone, buddhinasha pranashyati. Please remember this. Reiterate it in your mind. Buddhinasha pranashyati. Therefore, what must you do? Hang on to the intellect. Use the intellect, develop the intellect. Even in matters of the heart, you need to use the intellect, even in a relationship, as we saw yesterday. So, where does it begin? With just a thought. One thought. You meet a person, you say, nice person. There's nothing wrong with that. You invested it, God help you. So, this is the stairway to destruction. The next verse talks about the formula for self-control. So let's see what it is.
रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति.
But the self-restrained one who has gained mastery over, who has gained self-mastery, becomes serene, free from attraction and aversion. Such a one moves amidst the senses, controlling them. Now, before talking about self-control, the first thing we need to understand is self-control is not self-denial. So, what is it? It is the value you place on the objects. And to make us understand that, they have given ridiculous stories in the scriptures. So the formula for, you know the famous story of Krishna and Durvasa. You've heard of Durvasa the sage?
Yes.
What is he known for? And hunger. He had a tremendous appetite. And Krishna had how many wives? 16,000 wives, not one or two. Now don't start with that. Don't start by saying Krishna had 16,000, so I can have one more. You can't do that. So once Durvasa came and camped across the river from where Krishna was. And the tradition in our culture is when a sage comes, when a spiritual master comes, you must take care of him. And hospitality runs in our veins. So Krishna told his family members that Durvasa has come and he's camped across the river. So cook food for him, and you know what his appetite is. So cook lots of food and take it across to him. They were not happy. And they said, this man, he eats too much. But they cooked because Krishna told them. And they were carrying loaded dishes across. They went to the river. Krishna decided to teach them a lesson. So they went to the river, and the river was in spate. They couldn't cross the river. So they went back to Krishna and said, Krishna, the river is in spate, what can we do? He said, go back to the river. And in our culture, every river is deified as a goddess, right? So he said, go to the goddess and pray and say, if Durvasa is a Nitya Upavasi, show us the way. You know the meaning of Nitya Upavasi? Eternal faster, means he's fasting all the time. They wanted to laugh, but they did what he asked. And lo and behold, the river parted and they crossed and went to give Durvasa the food. True to his reputation, he finished every grain. And they were carrying empty dishes back. Again the river was in spate. So they went to Durvasa and said, Maharaj, please help us, the river is in spate, we can't go back home. He said, go back to the river goddess and say, if Krishna is a Nitya Brahmachari, show us the way. Brahmachari, you know what it is? Celibate. This time they laughed openly. But they went to the river and said that. And the river parted. So they got the message. What is the message to us? It is not in the quantum of enjoyment that self-control lies. Of anything in the world. It lies in your ability it lies in the fact you have to ask yourself, am I a victor or a victim? Am I the master of the contact or am I a slave? That determines whether you are in self-control or not. So, what is self-control? There are two ways. It's because of this that Shankaracharya in Bhajagovindam says, Yogaratova Bhogaratova